All right, we will call the meeting to order, please, with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you and welcome, everyone. Roll call, Mr. Lundberg?
Allen.
Yes.
Odie. Klumper. Yes. Saxer.
Yes.
Talcott.
Yes.
All right, if there are no questions on the agenda, I would entertain a motion to approve that as presented tonight, please.
So moved.
Second.
There's been a first and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. There are no conflict of interest disclosure or waiver requests tonight. That takes us to our next item, approval of the minutes from the regular meetings on September 9th and September 23rd. If there are no questions, concerns, or corrections, I would entertain a motion to approve those as presented, please.
So moved. Second.
There's been a first and a second. All of those in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. No community input that I have heard of for tonight. So that takes us to our financial items, bills and claims. Mr. Lundberg.
Any questions from the board? That we had on page 5, we are paying for one of the sites of land that we have preliminarily purchased, the Kroll site, which is south of on the south edge of our district, for $895,000. Okay, I had one or two other ones noted here. A lot of coach bus travel you'll see in the monthly bills that we spend quite a bit on coach bus travel throughout this month it's $19,000. Throughout the year we'll spend $70,000 to $75,000 on that. But everything we've researched and stuff, much more economical to charter those buses than it is to own that thing. Much. Page 14, Career Academy. That's the CTE Academy that we pay Sioux Falls for 40 slots, I think it is, correct? $52,000, that's half payment. And then I just wanted to also point out on page 15, Sukup Construction, Sokup, the parking lot, $196,000. That netted us about 100 spaces, and when you add in the engineering fees and all that stuff, it amounts to about $2,200 per parking spot it costs. So you'll hear a lot of conversations from the public, just build a new parking lot. My kid doesn't have a spot to park, or whatever the conversation is. Parking spaces are very expensive, folks. I mean, as I would say, it's probably, this was a small job, but it's $2,200 to $2,500 per space it'll cost you to build a parking lot. So just kind of keep that in the back of your mind as a number when people ask you about building a new facility for parking. Total bills, $1,593,000. Pay vouchers of $39,504, and food service bills of $120,506.
Any questions on the bills and claims at all tonight? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve those as presented, please.
So moved.
Second.
There's been a first and a second. All of those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Financial report, Mr. Lundberg.
Okay, going into the cash report for the month of September. Coming into the month, $6,485,000. Just a little over $2 million of receipts, $2,025,000. $3.8 million of disbursements, left $4,652,000 total cash on hand in the Brandon Valley School District at the end of September. That compares to last year at the same time of just under $4 million, $3,925,000. So it's about $650,000, almost $700,000 more cash in the district today than it was a year ago. $4.3 million of it was in the general fund, $257,000 in the special education fund, $53,000 in the pension fund, $26,000 in the bond redemption fund, and $26,000 in the enterprise fund. I will note that in the month of October, it'll be one of the tightest months that I've encountered as a business manager here. The cash flow, I'm constantly monitoring that. We're purchasing these land sites and whatnot, and we have $1 million tied up in a CD. So this will be, it'll be a very tight cash flow month for the Brandon Valley School District in the month of October. The $2,025,000 is itemized on the next 2 pages. As you know, the revenue from taxes comes in twice a year, November, December, and basically May, June. So October is generally a tight month anyhow, and then additional expenses added on there. $1 million CD at First National Bank. The payroll and benefit summary for the month of September was just over $2 million of payroll. It appears like that'll be a pretty normal month through the 1920 school year. $2 million will be the payroll target. Pretty normal month for the payroll target each month for the Brandon Valley School District. The related benefits are itemized for your review, and this through the month of September is your first financial statement. The revenue statements get really skewed this early in the year, with it only being the first quarter. 15% in the general fund of total budget, 1% in the capital outlay fund, 10% in the special education fund. The numbers don't really run true to form in the first half of the year with revenue especially. Under the expenditure reports, a little closer to true to form. We're through September, 1 quarter, 25% of the fiscal year. You can see that the general fund is 25.87% of budget. The difference between last year and this year, I always just pencil in last year's number, 16%. The difference there is because I did not have the contracts payable in last year's number, where I do have it in this number, and that's $2.5 million. So it's this month, or this year, the first quarter is running true to form, about 25% of the fiscal year. Capital outlay, 50% expended of the budget versus 61% last year, just timing differences. Special education fund, 21% year-to-date expended versus 15% last year. Same thing, contracts payable of $500,000, amounts to about 6% of the budget. Bond redemption, 41% versus 30%. The payment just gets larger each year we go on. Food service budget, these numbers really get skewed too early in the year, so I caution you not to take a tremendous amount of validity in it. $68,000 loss, it shows through September 30th versus $17,000 last year. It's again a timing difference. I had a work comp expense of $30,000 in this year, where I didn't have any work comp expense until October last year. I just didn't have it included in there. So that's one of the major differences. Trust and agency account held $212,000 in it at the end of September. Any questions on any of those numbers? It's our first financial numbers for the 1920 school year.
Hearing no questions from Mr. Lundberg, I would entertain a motion to approve the financial report as presented tonight.
So moved.
There's been a first and a second. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Lundberg. That takes us to our general business items under administration reports. The Administrative Center, Superintendent Larson.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Just a couple of quick items to update you on this evening. One that I'm going to go off script on, high school parking lot, because Mr. Lundberg referenced the cost for our parking lot spaces over at or around the administration center that service our high school students. It is relevant to note that we have plenty of parking at the high school. We have about 100 empty spots right now, so the high school administration strategy for the use of carpooling, 2-person and 3-person, an unassigned senior parking lot, and unassigned parking for individuals has been tremendously impactful and successful. Now, obviously, we will see our enrollment continue to grow at the high school, but it's relevant to note we're ready for them, and we've got empty spots, so if we have folks that need parking, they can certainly pay for that at the high school office and go from there. Fall parent-teacher conferences, outstanding turnout. Certainly appreciate our parents for their parents and guardians for their active participation in their child's education. I would note BVHS paired their post-secondary event, post-secondary fair with fall parent-teacher conferences, and plan to do the same thing this spring, where they pair that career fair with the spring parent-teacher conferences. ACT and science assessment data will be provided at our next Board of Education meeting, regularly scheduled. We have one region meeting opportunity left in the event that there are some members able to attend. Dr. Talcott has indicated he will be attending, so one other member could attend to keep us underneath that quorum if you're available. If not, no problems. I do plan on attending that event with Dr. Talcott as well. District 10 and 25 legislative breakfast. I have not heard from anyone regarding their inability to attend, so I am going to schedule that with our District 10 and 25 reps, as well as the Sunshine, to have that breakfast catered in. I will tell you the 2021 academic school calendar has been, the development process has been started. We have an initial draft. It's actually draft 2. We tweaked it based on feedback we received from our teachers regarding our pre-in-school service schedule. So I would tell you that that process has started. The administrative council, the teacher liaison council, and the classified council are all individual groups that are provided the draft calendar and the opportunity to provide feedback and insight. I would tell you that when invited to PTA or PTO meetings, I always take the draft calendar with me and share with parents and get any feedback that they may have. Tentative adoption moving forward. The board will receive their initial presentation on their January 13th meeting, and I will seek potential approval on January 27th. The construction timeline, relevant to note, the administration and then our Buildings and Grounds Committee with the Board of Education met with our architect for some of those preliminary conversations regarding the construction project down south. I would tell you we have a target of February 2020, early February 2020, as far as the opening of those bids. Construction will begin this spring, take place through the 2021 school year, with it opening in the fall of 2021. Relevant to note, no school November 11th, no school November 27th through the 29th, that's Thanksgiving break. Our winter break begins Friday, December 20th with a 2-hour early dismissal, and then we resume school on Thursday, January 2nd. So with that, I would certainly entertain any questions anyone has at this point in time.
Seem to be a quiet group tonight. All right. Thank you, Superintendent Larson. Mr. Lundberg, anything additional?
You know, I did have one thing to add for the board's reference, that not only busy planning the new school district, this, after having passed the bond issue, one of the important tasks is to get those bonds issued and out there and stuff. So been very busy with that whole process. It's just a very time-consuming process, and it just, you'll maybe not hear about it, but sometimes people bring up the fact that part of a negotiated sale versus a competitive bid, we do a negotiated sale. I just am a firm believer that that's a much more appropriate way to go, because you're not tied to a market change. You know, if something goes haywire in the market, you can delay your issuance of those bonds, and we hire our consultants to monitor that and stuff, and it's just, we talk on twice a week to see what's going on with the market and whatnot, and it's just really interesting to see all those things, how 10 basis points one way or another on the interest rates can happen and whatnot. We're hopeful that we get all of our preliminary stuff done here in the next month to 6 weeks and get that those bonds issued within that time frame, so we get our $17 million in the bank and start the process of paying some people for the school that we're about to build.
Thank you, Mr. Lundberg, and we're just thankful that we have people doing this work for us, and that we 5 don't have to do that or think about it too much, other than to say thank you very much. High school, I don't see Mr. Schleckaway or Mr. Frecking here. I have a feeling everybody's a little busy tonight based on parking situation. Mr. Thorson, not here. Mrs. Nelson, anything tonight from the middle school? Okay. Mr. Skibsted, Mr. Pearson, Mr. Babb, Mr. Horst, Mrs. Nelson. That takes care of everybody. Unless, Kurt wants to say, okay. No board policy tonight. So that takes us to our general business section. I would entertain a motion to approve general business items 1 through 5 as presented, please.
So moved.
Second.
There's been a first and a second. All of those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Under personnel, I would entertain a motion to approve items 1 through 5 there, please.
So moved.
Second.
There's been a first and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Couple items, information only for a couple maternity leaves there that are coming up for this year. Building permit applications, there were some. If you're interested and you would like to note those. Board reports. Does anyone have a formal board report that they would like to share tonight?
Yeah, I have a couple. Big day today with 2 committee meetings. So we met for the first time this morning for the Wellness Committee. And so the wellness is focused on nutrition education, physical education, and community. And after our meeting, what kind of came out of the meeting was our two main focal points, I guess, our 2 top priorities, and that would be food waste during lunch, and we talked about Fuel Up to Play 60 and trying to get that going into all of our schools, potentially, because there's some real benefits to that, both with like exercising and things like that, being active, and also monetary benefits. So so we kind of discussed and talked a little bit about the food waste issue going on and some ways we could cut that down. And so kind of moving forward, that's what we're focused on in that committee. Did you want to add anything to that one since you're on the phone? No. We're good?
I just listened.
Okay. So then this evening we met for the curriculum committee, and Mr. Pearson at the intermediate school shared with us what they are working with as far as the making data-driven instruction more of a thing, and just making that the data-driven instruction. So the mathematics interim assessment block is something they're working with or using, and it's going to be a powerful tool as far as using data to drive instruction and get results. Mr. Babb shared with us the SPED EAs were in a behavior training today, and SPED review is coming up. And then we talked about the STEM teacher leaders job description and just kind of how that is all going to look here this school year. Interesting stuff. Anything to add to that, Ellie? Okay, so yeah, that was the gist of those 2 meetings.
Alternative Ed at Teachwell has been pretty quiet. We actually have a number of students there, and we can see our, I can never get the name right of the program, but the one, I think it's Transition Advantage, seems to be becoming a lot more popular, and a lot of interest in that, so we're hoping that that continues. So good things happening over there also. All right, if there are no other formal board reports, there are 3 travel reports there for you to review if you're interested. With that takes us to the end of our normal meeting. I would entertain a motion to adjourn, please.
So moved.
There's been a first and second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. There's plenty to do around here if you want. I think there's still a soccer game going on and a dance competition, so have fun.